Thank you for tuning back in to the United States Nationalist Podcast. I'm here with Edwin Hernandez once again, and today we're going to talk about the subject of the sickness of socialism is spreading across the body of America. Edwin, you want to take it away?
Yeah, according to the Daily Caller, there's been a surge of leftist activity.
Wow.
With evidence of saying there's a 280% increase because it's happening in all over campuses. So all these chapters are from the Democratic Socialist of America.
And this is from 2016 to 2018, right?
Yes.
Within 2 years, they've experienced a 280% increase in their college campuses for clubs.
Yeah, and that's no surprise because what they've done too is they have a survey that came out back in 2016, where 55% of people who are ages between 18 through 29, believed in socialism or had a favorable view of socialism.
And what do these Democratic Socialists do whenever they open up these campuses? But believe that they try to engage in spreading the message of socialism, right? Like, I believe one of their agendas were to spread Medicare for all, to spread the idea of stronger unions, and to spread the idea of electoral power. And this was according to a member of the Democratic Socialist of America that was interviewed by the Daily Caller. And by spreading this message on college campuses, they spread it to the young minds of people who are barely coming out into the real world, people who are going to become our workforce, people who are going to become our leaders, the future of our nation. And these people are adopting socialist ideas because of chapters like the Democratic Socialist of America. And this is proof that the sickness of socialism is spreading across America.
I also have this to add with what you just said. It looks like there's like a generational divide between young voters and older voters, meaning that socialism is only favorable to one generation, which is the young voters. And young voters tend to be politically naive. So that's no surprise that socialism is surging in right now in recent days.
So what it's showing is that the younger you are, the more you're going to support socialism, and the older you get, the less you'll support socialism.
Correct, and that's what it shows in these the same poll.
Which makes sense because the older you get, the more you've lived in life, the more you've learned, and the less capable you are of falling for such a stupid idea of socialism.
Older voters are much wiser. They know what the dangers are of socialism and communism.
Absolutely, this is true, and I think that as time goes on, people are going to realize socialism is a sickness to our nation, that it's a very bad idea that will not work and has never worked.
Even people who refer this as trying to refer Scandinavia as being a successive country, well, you have to pay all these taxes. It's going to be expensive, and it's going to be a lot of tax hikes. Do you really want to pay more for all those things that you want to give your own individual affairs to the government? Do you really trust the government to control what you want to be responsible for?
And that's the crazy part about it, because we only have to look to California to see what will happen if socialism takes over your state. If you don't live in California, if you don't live in New York, then you don't really understand the real danger that socialism can bring to your state. We only have to look to California. Right now, what's happening is they're passing laws to restrict free speech in some kind of disguise for civil rights for the LGBTQ community. Something about pronouns. If you use the wrong pronoun against somebody in the medical industry or something, then they are able to sue you.
This could implicate the First Amendment too, the right to free speech. Because there are two examples, like New York and California, in which they're introducing LGBT rights or specialized for this. How far would this be, or how far would they go? Would they actually violate free speech, or that's the main question right now about leftists controlling the way they want us to speak?
And at one point, they were even considering establishing Medicare for all in California, which turned out to become a ridiculous idea because of the cost. The cost would have doubled their budget. And then they want to ban straws and give people 6 months in jails for having straws. Mm-hmm. What kind of ridiculousness is this? Not to mention, now they're fighting for housing rights or something. They want Rent Relief Act to pass. This is coming from Kamala Harris, which is a senator from California, who is fighting in our Congress right now to try to pass this law, which won't pass because of the Republican majority in Congress. But it's a statement showing that the Democrats are becoming more socialist, fighting for the housing rights of people. They want to give everybody the right to have a home. Housing rights. This is a socialist idea. And this is what's happening in California.
What's also socialist too is that I believe there's a study out there that shows you have to have permission to do whatever you want to do. You have to have approval of government now. It's more common for you just to ask permission to do whatever, to do anything now. There's more licenses or more obstacles because now the government wants to. You have to depend on the government to do whatever you want to do.
So there are more regulations and restrictions on people's lives that they have to try to overcome those barriers through the government. The government has to grant them permission through licenses and such in order for them to do what they want to do. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. And all we're doing is giving more power to the government. That's all. We're putting too much government into our own personal lives. Well, how much is enough? Well, what is enough? Why are we going? How far are we going to go into being controlled fully to 100%?
And to prove to people that the sickness of socialism really is spreading, we only have to see New York becoming the twin brother of California. It's literally the sickness spreading from California to New York, the west to the east. And this is crazy because the more states become socialist, the more our nation overall will become socialist. This is obvious. But it's about the way they're doing it. They're attacking it at the local level, and it's oozing into the state level, and now it's contaminating the national level of our nation. The national politics of our nation is becoming socialist. You have to look to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren, and the likes of them, who are now fronting the Democratic Party. They're the face of the Democratic Party. And these people ultimately, if you look to California, and Fox News covered this, they are trying to establish a Native American independent state. They want to declare independence from America and establish a nation for Native Americans, which would be the first Native American nation in the world.
According to Fox News, they were also having an interview where Tucker Carlson was interviewing a Calixit activist. And what they determined is that this government, in the end, was showing that it is ran by ethnic government. It's like racial government. It's identity politics. They run on identity politics. And that's what they're doing right now behind the scenes on Calexit.
Well, on that same interview, the activist stated that he was pushing for a nation where they would eliminate white people from the power structure and replace them with brown people. And that white people would not be welcomed unless the Native Americans agreed to allow them in, including Elizabeth Warren.
And that seems rather racist to me right there, because how are you thinking that way?
It's crazy because they're looking at the world through the lenses of race. And that is exactly the same lenses, the same view that Hitler viewed the world, the same angle. And these are the same things that they're going to create, same laws that Hitler created, race-based laws. And now, you can look at New Hampshire, and you can see that there's an article published by the New York Times, and it states, the title is, New Hampshire, 94% white, asks, how do you diversify a whole state? How do you diversify a whole state? Why would you want to diversify a state? Why would you want to make people of a certain population less?
And typically, a whole population that is replacing another population typically votes for liberal or democratic ideology.
That's truly the ultimate goal, I believe. I believe that when they bring these minorities over to the state that they want to bring them to, when they want to diversify a state, that is just code to wanting to bring more liberal, more socialist voters to that state to turn it more socialist, to turn it more liberal. That's ultimately what that is.
All it is doing is growing socialism, leftism, even, I hope not, but communism.
I believe that's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate conclusion. Think about it. Even Karl Marx said, I believe Lenin or Karl Marx stated that socialism was to open the doors for communism. And that's what I believe Democratic Socialists are. They're opening the doors for socialism, and Democrats are opening the doors for Democratic Socialists. It's all of these small incremental steps to get you comfortable, to get you used to it little by little, and to pull you into socialism, and they suck you into communism over time.
There's always a pattern within their view of thinking. There's always internationalism. They also look at the lens of just being global.
These are the people that want income tax. These are the people that want to control our education. These are the people that want to tax our property so that we won't own our property. These are the people that are pushing for these platforms that are on the Communist Manifesto. You can find these on the Communist Manifesto themselves, and it is crazy.
Our own tax system is fulfilling a pillar for the Communist Manifesto.
Absolutely. And the bad thing about this is it doesn't just go with bad economics. These socialists, these Democrats, bring with them violence. You can look throughout the history of Antifa and the Democratic Party, how they're endorsing violence. Maxine Waters called for the harassment of Trump supporters. This is absolute violence. And they stand for hatred. They hate white people. They hate people who disagree with them. They hate anybody who is not one of them. This is not tolerance.
It's an example of tribalism.
Absolutely. If you're not one of them, they hate you. This is mob mentality. This is mob rule. And they bring with them hatred, violence, and ultimately evil. These people are evil.
They are dividing the country, and they don't even notice it.
And so what we need today are U.S. nationalists to unite this country, to unite it. U.S. nationalism is the opposing force of socialism, of communism, of the Democratic Party, and of all of the left who are trying to drive this nation into destruction. U.S. nationalists stand for civility and peace. U.S. nationalists stand for love. They stand for love for country, love for family, love for God, love for doing the right thing, love for speaking the truth.
Instead of socialism that promotes globalism. And with globalism comes socialism.
Absolutely. And all really socialism is and communism is globalism. They want no borders. They want to let anybody into our country to drive it into destruction. Well, I have something to tell them. Us U.S. nationalists are not going to put up with it. We are not going to put up with it. We'll be damned if they come into our country, into our states, and they try to turn it over, try to rid us of the influence of American-loving citizens. So U.S. nationalists have to fight back. We have to stand up, get involved in our politics, run for office, or support somebody who is running, and we have to do this real fast before socialists start taking over. Now, this is the United States Nationalist Podcast. If you like what we have to say, please like, share, comment. Let us know what you think below. And thank you for listening. Tune into the next episode.
Thank you very much, guys.